This episode is sponsored by Proverbs 31 Business Systems. Are you tired of feeling like your business depends on you for everything? If your business slows down every time you step away, you may be the bottleneck. At Proverbs 31 Business Systems, we help faith-driven, service-based entrepreneurs build systems, workflows, and automation that allow their businesses to run without burnout. Take the 5-minute bottleneck test to discover what's really slowing your business down and what to fix first. Simply scan the QR code shown on the screen or visit proverbs31businesssystems.com. Now let's get into today's episode.
Virtuous woman, she's worth more than gold. She doesn't.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming the Proverbs Woman podcast. My name is Sharma Kende, also known as Special Agent Chi, and on today's show we have Becky Funk. Becky Funk is a parenting coach who helps moms build deeper, healthier connections with their teens through her space, place, parenting model. She equips moms to regulate their nervous systems, understand their triggers, and become the safe place that teens turn to when life gets hard. So welcome to the show, Becky Funk.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Chi, so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show. So, how would you describe what you do in one sentence?
In one sentence, I help moms become so connected to their teens that their kids actually want to come talk to them.
Oh, wow. So, what inspired you to start helping moms, teens specifically?
So this is funny. Ever since third grade, that was a
Oh,
few
wow.
years ago, I had always wanted to be a math teacher. And I don't know why. I would line up my stuffed animals, my little sister, and I'd teach them. And I became a high school math teacher. And I just madly
Wow.
fell in love with this age. They have their whole lives ahead of them. And I loved being able to see and call out the gifts that they maybe didn't know they had, help them find their voice. And teens are just so misunderstood. They're like everybody. They just want to be seen, heard, loved, and they get a bad rap sometimes. So when I finally got to this place in my life where I was ready to open or start my own business, I realized I was like, I can still go back to my love of working with this age group and help them. And so I dove in helping teens with anxiety because you hear about it all the time, right? So many teens are anxious. Um, Real quick side note, that was pretty much helping them drink less caffeinated drinks, get more sleep, get off
Wow.
their phone, like a lot of just
Wow.
holistic stuff instead of because I'm not a counselor, like if it was like true anxiety, you need something more, but that took a lot of the edge off. But working with teens was only kind of getting so far. I could only go so far with them. And I realized working with the moms is going to help complete that package. And it's so funny. I was doing this. I really wanted to do this nervous system certification course, and I just finished it in April. But I didn't want to test out what I was learning on teens because they don't always do what you ask them to do. I
They
know,
think they know it
shocker.
all. Yes.
So I took on some moms. I was like, let's just try this out and see what happens. And I actually madly fell in love with working with the moms too. So just in the past few months, like this 2026, I've shifted into working with moms. I still take on some teen clients, but primarily it's that. And I really just love watching the moms have these like aha moments of like, oh, you mean I just have to approach this a little differently, just make this one little shift, and it completely changes your relationship with your teen in a good way, right? It gets them
Mhm.
talking again. So that was kind of like the real short, long story of how I got where I am today. And it's just such a blessing. And I'm just so happy to be able to bring my education and my experience because I am, as a parent coach, I want to be very clear. I am only here because I have made all the mistakes myself and I have learned. I'm not coming at this from a state of like, I have all the answers and I have done it right.
Mhm.
I will tell you, I'll share today every single, so many stories of like, I got this wrong, so I fixed
Mhm.
it and I did it this way. But I just absolutely love what I get to do now. It's so rewarding.
Oh, that's good. And I could tell that, you enjoy that. And it's also like when I was a teenager, I can't imagine like being a teenager then compared to a teenager now.
Yes.
Just some of the things we didn't, because we didn't have social media. I'm trying to
Right.
think. I think we had like, I'm trying to think what we had. I think that's when like Hotmail and, all that stuff was
Right.
coming on.
Right? You still
But
had like the dial up.
yes, 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 yes. So I can't even imagine. I feel like social media has, kind of like I can't just imagine like how they feel of just the pressure, even
Yeah.
just with the I think somebody was saying even like with like bullying, it's so quick or
Yes.
easy to bully like online because you're not face
Yes.
to face with the person. So
Yeah,
I can't even imagine like how teenagers, in
yeah.
this day and
They
age.
like when we were in school, you could escape the bully, right? You went home.
Mhm.
But now you
Mhm.
can't do that because it's in your pocket and it's just constantly
Yes.
coming. And then there's the comparison because social media is everybody's highlight reel. So you're seeing everybody else's perfect life and you know all of your struggles, and that makes you feel horrible. And even if you're following all the right people and you have all the right stuff, you're still just spending so much time on it. And that's time you're not doing other things. And that just makes you feel anxious too.
And
Yeah.
the hormones during that time too, you're
Yeah.
developing
Oh
with
my
the
gosh,
hormones, like
yes.
the transition during that time.
So
Because I
much.
know that definitely I know that just should I say I think once you have for what you do, honestly, that's good. I think when you have an understanding of something, you're able
Hmm.
to approach it better. And I
Yeah.
think with the moms doing that, I need to get with
Yeah.
you. I know my daughter's
Oh,
she's 8, but I
oh.
feel like you see the
Yeah.
hormones scraping
You
up, so I
know,
have to connect with you.
yeah,
Talk
it's
to
never too early to start
Yes,
preparing for the
yes,
teenage years.
yes. I definitely
They,
have to
they,
get resources from you.
yes, I got some for you, girl. We gotcha.
So, in terms of like your callings, I know you had mentioned like in the it's like you said you prayed anything but
Yes.
owning my own business. Can you share a story of
Oh
just how God
gosh.
led you to,
Yeah.
led you here?
Yeah. So I had gone through this really difficult time in my life, and I think we'll get into this a little bit too. I had been spiritually abused at the church I worked for. My son was going through this chronic illness that we had not yet diagnosed, and he was later um, diagnosed with two brain infections. And so it was this really incredible time. We got through that. And I was like at 46, I'm like, well, what am I going to be when I grow up, right? Where am I going to go with this? And I remember praying to God. I was like, any 9 to 5 job, I want to show up. I want to love what I'm doing. I want to make an impact. I just do not, literally was saying the words, I just don't want to own my own business. I am not an entrepreneur. This is not what I want to do. And I was looking for jobs and I wasn't finding anything that just felt in alignment with what I wanted to do. And so I'm still praying. Just I want to do my own job. Just I'm not running my own business. It's not me. Nothing was coming. And I was talking to a friend one day who became a counselor after my whole ordeal. Like I was at a place where I wanted to become a counselor, but I didn't want to go back to school for it. And she looked at me and she was like, "You should be a coach." And I was like, "Oh," we talked about it and I was like, totally. I got so excited about it, like down to my bones. I researched everything and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And then I was like, God, you know what I said, you know what I asked. This is not what I had in my mind. And he was like, well, girl, it's never too early to learn something new. Like,
No,
this
it's
is what
not.
we do, right? You grow through being put in uncomfortable positions. And that was 3, 4 years ago. And oh my word, the ways that I have grown and just
Wow.
becoming such a better version of myself, as the saying goes. And so it's just I have a hard head when it comes to prayer sometimes, and I'm like, nope, you're not, nope, nope, nope. And he's like,
Yes.
yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. You're
I
gonna
think
like it, and you're gonna do it.
yes, I think God, I mean, you could even have the examples in the Bible. Look at Moses. He was like, God, I stutter. Like
Right?
and he's like,
I'm
okay,
not gonna
go
do
get
it.
Aaron to do it. Like, okay, like
Yeah.
it's so
Where this
funny.
is not a no.
Yes, yes. It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna do it, but hey, you can give all the excuses you want to, but
Exactly.
you
Never lets me get away with my excuses ever.
that's why they say we have our plans and God has his,
Oh, I
it probably
know.
laughs and says, ha 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 ha.
I know. I was like, can they be a little bit more in alignment with mine? Like a money
Right.
tree, please? No.
Right. So you mentioned navigating through spiritual abuse while working in ministry. How did that season shape like your faith and work today? Because that can
Yeah.
impact.
It was not a pretty journey. I'm just going to be I'm a very honest person. That happened right along the time my son was going through this illness and was diagnosed. And I described to people like, one, there was all of this without going to like all the detail, but the spiritual abuse that was happening. And then I just tell people like going through this illness with my son, I felt like my faith was built on solid rock, right? Like we're supposed to do. Turns out my faith was built on limestone, and I had
Oh,
this like category 10 hurricane
oh,
stall over us for months, and it washed everything out.
oh,
Like
wow.
all of a sudden, everything that I thought I knew, I thought I believed was not true. And that's a big generalization. That is not at all true. Like there was still some stuff, but going through it, like there was so much I felt like slid out from under me. Lost friends just because of going through hard things. That long suffering is really hard. But coming through it, I'm so grateful for having gone through it because I came out of that season with this overabundance of love for everybody. Like, I feel like it's the gospel love that I didn't have before that, and I probably would not have ever gotten without that. I had to learn, I realized through all of this that my son never felt loved. So I had to learn how to love him unconditionally in the way that he needed, to receive it, as well as like realizing I went through all of this stuff. I thought I knew what I was talking about and I don't, right? So it also brought along this side of curiosity, a lot of like being curious about what are the things that I believed and what does the Bible actually say. And so like I know this is a hot topic word for some people, but I've deconstructed a lot of what I had been taught and what I had learned. And so I'm just curiously building it all back up. And it all for me just keeps or centering around love, 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 love. Like you can't have truth without first loving somebody. And I bring that into my business, right? Because as parents, we want to give advice. We want to tell our kids how to do something. We want to teach them the right way to live, what your values should be, and all of this. But that's not going to be receptive to your teenager if you're first not loving them and building relationship and having influence over them. That is where you get to then pour into the knowledge base of them once their love tank is filled. And honestly, having gone through those experiences has brought me to that place where I fully 100% believe in that, and I've seen the success in that as well, because that's not exactly how I was operating before all of this either, with my own kids. So
Right. Wow.
yeah.
Well, but at least, I know it was a rough patch, but I guess it worked out for the good for you in terms of just
Yeah.
learning. And what does it say is like in terms of like that foundation, like love. I think even the Bible is like the
Yeah.
greatest of this is love. So if you can do all this stuff, you can do all this thing, but it's like was it like a sounding symbol if you're doing
Yeah.
all the works? And if you have no love, it's nothing.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
that's so true in regards to that. So what is the nervous system regulation and why is it so important for parents of
Yes.
teens?
I'm a huge geek when it comes to nervous system stuff because after my son's illness, like my nervous system was wrecked and I thought I was just broken and this is the way I had to be for the rest of my life. And my counselor she told me, she's like, "Have you ever heard of the vagus nerve?" And I was like, "I do not know what that is." So she gave me a master class that, told me to go take this master class with this other woman, and it was eye-opening. I learned that my nervous system could be repaired, that I wasn't broken. And I've struggled with anxiety my entire life. Like throughout my teenage years, growing up in the 80s and 90s, it's you just need to develop thicker skin. Stop worrying all the time, don't wear your heart on your sleeve. And okay, it didn't work out for me too well. So nervous system regulation is being able to handle the hard stuff that life throws at you, right? Because we all know life is not just going to be a bed of roses, and even bed of roses. That's saying like roses have thorns.
Mm.
Roses have thorns, right? It's not
Yes.
always an easy ride. And so a lot of times I think we get stuck in what's called your sympathetic state where we're very short and fly off the handle, like a lot with people, with our kids, with our spouses. Or we get into this like dorsal vagal state or really low energy state where we just check out and we withdraw. We don't want to like go hang out with friends. We just want to, hide away in our house under a blanket, scrolling on our phone all the time because we can't deal with everything that's going on in life. So nervous system regulation is learning about that the middle section, between the hyperarousal state and the hypoarousal state, the extra energy and less energy, is when your window of regulation or your window of tolerance. And that's where we operate optimally and we can handle all of those things. So we're going to pop out into the upper level and the lower level from time to time, but we can come back down so much quicker. When we're parenting and we're in that dysregulated state, for me, I always went high and I had a short fuse. So I would get really upset with my kids very easily. I would yell at them. I would, just I couldn't
Mm.
handle things. Or if my anxiety was so bad, I could be washing the dishes. And after my kids were more mobile, I had their licenses, I would have this thought of like, oh my gosh, what if they're in a ditch somewhere, and I'm pulling out my
Mm.
phone and I'm trying to
Mm.
track them. And then, when I found like whenever I wanted to track my kid, I could never find where they were, you know? And
Wow.
then and I would just spiral. I was to literally torturing myself through
Mm.
this. And there was no good to it. And so as parents, what does that do with your relationship with your teen if you're constantly wanting them to check in and constantly needing, or yelling at them or just wanting to withdraw from your friends because you can't handle everything? Um, it is going to affect your relationship. It's going to make your teen think you overreact all the time and not take you seriously. And during the teen years, like there's so much brain development going on. We see the physical changes, they're very obvious to us. But it's the hidden changes that are the most impactful, the brain development. They're learning how to manage their emotions. And they learn that by watching us. So I remember a time where my oldest was he's an arguer. He loves to argue. He will argue for the sky is not blue, and let me tell you why the sky is not blue. So he was coming at me one day wanting to argue, and I would just go with him, and we would escalate. Like I would argue back, and then he would raise it. And I remember standing in the kitchen one day, Chi, and I was like, I am the adult in the room. I have a master's in education, which means I have taken plenty of adolescent psychology courses. I should know what is going on right now. And so I took a deep breath and I took a step back and I just stopped engaging. And I was like, we can continue this later. And he got mad, because when you pull back like that, he wanted the
Mhm.
dopamine hit from
Mhm.
the argument.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
didn't give it to him. And eventually, he would come to me and want to fight, and I would never give in. I became that co-regulation tool for him. So when his life got hard, because like we talked about, teenagers struggle, they have a lot of anxiety. Um, how do they learn to work through that? They learn by being able to come to us, talk to us, co-regulate with us. We can bring them back down into that regulated state, and then they can go on, we both go on about our merry ways. That's what they do. But when we are dysregulated, they aren't learning that from us, and we're just creating dysregulated people. And so there's a whole bunch of like crazy people walking around
Yep, bleeding
everywhere.
on each other. That's what I always say. It's like we're just bleeding on the all
Yeah,
over each other.
exactly.
It's not working.
Exactly.
It doesn't
No,
help.
no, it is
So,
not.
so I think you had mentioned a dysregulated parent won't create a regulated adult. So which you kind of
Right.
touched on. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so it's like I was like with that situation of with my son in the kitchen, um, I was dysregulated. I was not calm, cool, in my zone where I could handle it because I'm letting him dictate everything. Once I learned to co-regulate, or not co-regulate myself, once I learned to regulate myself, take a deep breath, calm myself down a little bit, and then speak. So respond instead of react. Um, he was able to then calm down. So now I'm in a regulated state, which means I can teach him to become a regulated person. I can teach him to get into his regulated state. So that process repeated over and over and over and over again throughout their teen years creates a well-regulated adult. But if I would have stayed in that state of dysregulation, like always arguing, always snapping at them, never listening, never taking the time, that's what they're going to learn. That's what my kids are going to learn from me. And that's what they're taking to school. That's what they're taking with their friends. That's what they're going to take into their job. And that's what they're going to take with them after they go to graduation because they aren't learning the tools that they need in order to get themselves into the regulated state. So that's what I mean by that sentence. It's if you are dysregulated, there's no way you're going to create a happy, healthy adult because they aren't going to
Mhm.
be regulated in the long run.
And then it just keeps going and going and
Just
going.
keep, yeah, we'd pass it down
Mm.
generation after
Mm.
generation.
Yeah, that's just going. Oh my.
Yep.
So, what are some signs that parents are parenting from stress or fear without realizing it? Are there some
Yeah.
that you can see?
Yeah. So if you are waking up in the middle of the night with that thought of, oh my gosh, is my kid home? Where are they? Or even if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to schedule that appointment today. Girlfriend, you're in a dysregulated state. Like, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, if you're like me washing dishes and you have that thought that pops in your head and you cannot stop thinking about it, that's a dysregulated state. And then there's the more obvious ones that we've talked about having that short fuse where, your spouse or your kids they ask you a question, "Hey mom, what's for dinner?" And you're like, "Why am I the only one that knows what to make for
Yeah.
dinner? Why can't somebody,
I can
that's
attest to
a
that. I can attest
hey,
sometimes to that.
like I'm saying, everything I'm coming out of my mouth, I am guilty of. That's why I learned it. No judgment here at all. Though, but it's those types of responses that show you are in a dysregulated state and your parenting will become out of fear and out of worry. It also can happen the other way. That's the one that gets all the attention. That's the easy one to see. But it's the other side when we're in that dorsal vagal state, when you're just shut down, when you just don't have the energy to go get groceries, when you just don't have the energy to go have coffee with your friend, that you've been trying to schedule for, a few weeks, when you don't have the energy to do the laundry, that's not a fun one. But when you're just like getting very, I don't want to say depressed, but it's kind of like that depressive state. That's also a signal. Like our parenting comes out of that, right? That's not gonna help our kids either because they're learning something very different in that situation. So those are just some things to look for. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, like I do some of those things, no judgment. That's the first thing. Like, no judgment. Just stop and recognize this is just your body's way of responding to the situation around you. Your body is doing what it feels it needs to do to keep you safe. And there's a way out of it. There's a way out of it. Our God has created our bodies to do amazing things that we are still still discovering. So that's the great part is that this isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Wow, that is true. Because even just not say with the teenager, because I know when I lost my mom 2 years ago,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
thank you. When that happened, I remember just not wanting to, being in bed. So I guess that's like a
Yeah.
response. It's like just being in
Yeah.
bed, not wanting to do anything. I checked out just in
Yeah.
terms, but it was just because of my kids. I was, I needed to get myself out, but I just wanted to
Right.
be in bed and just not do anything. I just wanted to just be in bed that whole
Yeah.
time and just check out and just I think it was kind of like an out of body, like you just want to isolate. You
Yes.
don't want to be around people.
Dissociate. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say
Yeah.
like in terms of that's just like a normal response, but I guess if you're in that
Mhm.
state for a long time, is that when the problem then
Right.
you not have to get
The,
help?
Yeah, those states are normal.
Okay.
Like they definitely can happen. If you're in that state for a very long time and you're not coming out of it, then you do want to talk to a doctor and, and see what tools are available for you, be it medication or something else. But that is your body's way of responding to the situation to keep you safe, to let you heal, to let you grieve, right? You just kind of really shut down. our body is always responding, whether it's fight or flight, let's produce where your body realizes I need to produce a lot of energy because we're being chased by a bear. There is no bear anymore. It's literally just the thoughts in our head,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
we need to produce the energy so that we can run or that we can fight whatever is about to come. So
Right.
that's that, we produce that energy to go into a sympathetic state. And then the other side is also true. Our body will respond by conserving energy. And when it conserves the energy because it might be needed at a different time, that's when we feel like we just can't get out of bed. And some people can feel them both in the same day. We go to work during the day and we're angry because of the emails coming in and the people knocking on the door and this needs done
Hmm.
and everybody's
Yeah.
calling your time and you're getting angry and upset and irritated. And then you come home and what do? Like you just want to check out and turn on Netflix and, or doom scroll or both at the same time and not deal with anything. You're hitting both of those at the same time. And that's just a dysregulated nervous system. And it
Mhm.
just takes a little TLC. But yeah, to answer your question, like obviously the length of time, giving yourself a little grace in it and realizing this is what your body needs right now, and that's
Mhm.
okay. You'll come back out of it. And there's things that I can do to could work with you to help get you out of that state. But if it's something that if you're doing things and nothing seems to be working, then you definitely should get some long-term care.
Okay. I mean, that's a good one to know. It's like, okay, that's just normal like
Yeah.
body response to that. So,
Yeah.
so what are some practical ways mom can regulate themselves before reacting to their teens?
Oh, yeah, this is always a good one, right? Everybody
Mhm.
wants to know. So, what I did first with my son in the kitchen was, take a deep breath. I think about it all the time. I remember we always say, take a deep breath, count to 10. So, that's gonna work to make sure the words that come out of your mouth you aren't gonna regret later, right? But it can work. Um, I do with my clients, the way I learn the program is this like framework of exercises that you can do. And what we do is take your five senses plus your vestibular sense and your proprioceptive sense. So that's where you are in space and being able to balance in space. Um, and use those to send neutral signals to your brain so that you kind of calm down. It sends your brain signals. It's like, nope, this is not a time where we need to freak out. So let's just calm down a little bit. And so some of those resources are as simple as like just turning your head and noticing what is around the room. We
Mhm.
go through life so quick that we don't stop to notice the small things, right? So I just tell them just stop and look at, the plant and notice the leaves and how the leaves are created and notice a lampshade and how all the texture in the lampshade and then bring in some sounds around you. Start to pay attention to your surroundings and what you can hear that's close to you and what you can hear that's far away. And, maybe you're feeling where you're sitting or where you're standing and your feet on. You're just becoming aware of your presence. That has a huge regulating impact on your nervous system that can help just bring you back down. That's one of the first exercises I do with everybody is just that. And it has the effect of bringing you down from a sympathetic state or bringing you up if you're in a dorsal vagal state. A lot of
Okay.
times, literally just stopping to smell the roses
Hmm.
that
Helps.
can have a huge impact on your nervous system in such a great way.
Wow. So it can either work for either state, the
Yeah,
exercise.
that
So depending on wherever it can just, it's kind of like to kind of balance you
balance you.
back
Yeah,
to that point.
yeah, brings you back up to that middle state. And I will say, I had a client who was like, I was doing it at home, and I was looking at my picture of my son who's away at college, and I got really sad. And then I was looking at the dishes that needed to be. I'm like, oh, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. Just watch your finger then.
So
Put your
focus on
finger in
something
front of your
else.
face and just watch your finger. That's all you need to do.
That's funny. So, can you explain your space place parenting model and how it helps rebuild connection?
Yeah, so as I was shifting into this, I want to help parents. I was trying to think like, what's framework? What is the framework? What am I going to walk them through? So the very first thing that I do with parents, with moms, as I'm working with them, is we just notice, become curious, just aware of what's going on around us. So when are those times that you're getting stressed? When are those times that you're maybe a little more short with your teen or when you feel like you want to check out? Are you familiar with the Enneagram at all?
The Enneagram, no.
The Enneagram, no. So the Enneagram is a personality test that tells you
Oh,
why
okay.
you,
Okay. I think
yeah.
I've heard of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do that with all of my clients. So it
Okay.
tells them why they react the way they do. So I'm an Enneagram 1. I'm a perfectionist. So my parenting always revolved around wanting people to see me as a good parent. So, can my kids go out wearing these clothes? People might think I'm a bad parent if they did. If my kid didn't do well in school, they might think I'm a bad parent, right?
Mhm.
And Enneagram 2 is a helper. They are going to be the ones who they need to feel appreciated and loved. So they want their teens to say, I really appreciated that you made this dinner for me tonight. And I'm sorry I didn't eat it. Like teens aren't going to do that. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
like, friction there. So once parents understand, okay, this is just how I'm wired. It doesn't make me good, doesn't make me bad. It's just this is how I'm wired. They're able to see that relationship in a different way, a different perspective. So the first part of my framework is literally just let's just notice and become aware of what's happening. Then the second part is regulating. So we bring in, and I do this all together throughout, but we bring in like the regulating piece. So we're working on nervous system regulation. We're doing some neuroeducation of like, this is what's actually going on in your brain, and this is actually what's going on in your teen's brain. Like, this is the
Oh.
teen development that's happening right now. There's a study out recently that is, I don't know how recent it was, but it says that at 12 years, up until 12 years old, so your daughter is 8, so this still works for you, up till 12 years old, there's a certain part of a kid's brain that lights up when they hear their mom's voice. Isn't that
Oh.
beautiful? So when you
Yes.
talk to her, there's a part of her brain that just lights up. But
Wow.
at the age of 12, that changes to outside
Oh.
voices. So,
Oh.
and the study was like they could tell the age of a child just by what part, how their brain lit up,
Oh,
by who is
wow.
doing it. So it's very much a thing because that is what helps
Hmm.
them then leave the nest, right? And go, otherwise they're
Yeah.
living with us forever. You would
Oh
never leave.
my.
So we talk about these types of things and give different education as to what's going on because education and knowledge helps bring that awareness. And now we're
Mhm.
not taking it personally anymore, right? And
Mm.
then we shift into connection. And these are ways to connect with your kid. So I always give the magic question. I give it everywhere I go. Do you want to ask your kid, do you want to vent? Do you want, I'm going to forget it. Do you want to vent? Do you want to vent? Do you want advice or do you want help coming up with a plan? That question
Mm.
puts all the agency in the kids, in the teens' hands. Most of the time, they want to vent, but as parents, we want to give advice. So it
Yes.
just helps clear that out. So it's little things like that, having conversations side by side, because eye to eye is going to feel like an interrogation to them. But you're sitting in the car, they'll talk to you nonstop. So we do a lot of these different ways to then connect with your teen to help bridge that gap and bring that connection back. And through it's not, parents often feel, I didn't. Well, no, you didn't know, but that's why you're here and you're learning this now so that you do get that connection. Because the teen years, it sneaks up on you. It's like overnight. Your kid is like sweet and then the next morning they're like rolling their eyes at you and you're like, what happened? The teenage years, like just like that.
So I have three kids. I mean, I have an older son too. He's about to be
Okay.
11. So
Okay.
I can see the,
It's starting.
yeah, it's creeping in there.
It
So,
is creeping in there. I
yeah,
find it's creeping
yeah,
earlier and earlier sometimes the more I talk to
yeah.
parents.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. Those three pieces, the notice, the regulate, the connection, all of those three together help make you a safe place so that you're the first person that your teen comes to when they reach a hard thing, right? When they have some situation in their life that's hard. And I think that's what we want as parents, right? Like we want them to know that they can come to us and talk to
Yes,
us.
yes.
And so those three components together and the work that I do in my safe place parenting model is make the parent that safe place and it helps to bridge that gap.
No, no, you're educating me here. I'm just like, my
No.
goodness, this is like I'm like writing down notes in terms of just. I mean, I don't have my notes here, but I'm definitely gonna go back and listen to this and
Go
write
back and
some
listen.
notes. But
Oh,
no, this is very, very like you're educating me just because it's relatable. I mean, I have kids and I've
yeah.
seen like certain things, especially this thing you just said with my daughter, her mom's voice, and
Yeah.
then which makes sense, like the influence, because at that age, they're now more, they don't want to see, that change of,
Right.
they're embarrassed to be around moms. So that makes
Right. It's
sense. That
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that no, no, this makes sense. So what
Oh.
transformation do moms experience after working with you?
Well, they are much more connected to their kids after that.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
and their
can see
kids are
that.
much happier. You are, like I said earlier, teens are misunderstood. They want to have a good relationship with their parents, but sometimes we inadvertently do things that puts a wedge in that just
Yeah,
because we don't
true.
understand what's happening with them. So the teens are happy to have that relationship back because they feel understood again.
No, that's good. So you're writing a children's book on perfectionism, and what inspired that project?
Yeah, so I was on a different podcast and the host, we were talking afterwards and she's like, "Have you ever thought of writing a children's book?" And I laughed at her, I think. I was like, "No. I'm not. I like to talk. I'm a very wordy person. It's really hard for me to write my newsletters and get them really, short and compact." And I was like, I cannot. And I'm not a writer. I was a math teacher. I'm not a writer. English is not easy for me to write. But we were talking and I started to get really excited about it. So I worked with her in one program and I was like, let's just see if we can even come up with a story because I don't know that we can. How do you explain perfectionism to an elementary school kid in a children's book? I don't know. And so that was kind of how it all started. That was the inspiration. I just had someone say, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Because I think you have a really good lesson that you could be teaching." Like imagine if you could help kids in this one area before they, become teenagers and it becomes so much harder to deal
Hmm.
with. So that's how it all started, was just one
Um,
person looking at me and saying, "Have you ever thought of?"
Doing it. Okay. So
Yeah.
is that done or is that in progress?
It's in progress.
Okay. All
It's in
right.
progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was I say it was like a divine download because I was like, how am I ever going to do this? And I'm not gonna lie, I did tap into AI a little bit because I was like, help me get this out of
Mm,
my head. Like,
right.
ask me the questions that I need to know, even how to start this. And so I just started putting stuff down and pulling it together. And then I had this story that I cried over. I was like, what is happening? And the woman that I worked with, the book coach, um, she was like, this was a really easy process. Like it's usually not this easy.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and I'm not a writer. Like, so it was amazing. So now we're at the story is done. We have the title picked. And we have the characters drawn. So
Nice.
it's called Murphy Makes a Mistake, and we did it after one of my cats, Murphy. I have one cat, Charlie. He's a certified therapy cat, so I take him out to
Oh,
schools.
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
and the kid, because everybody expects a dog, so when a
Yeah.
cat
Yeah. You
shows
never see a
up,
dog. Yeah. You never see a cat.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets all the fanfare, like, and he
Oh,
comes with me
wow.
to some of my sessions when I was working with teens. They loved him. So I was like, Murphy needs a time to shine. So this book needs to be about Murphy, and he's our
Oh.
nervous cat anyway, so it fit perfectly. So we have Murphy done, and the last time we met, we just have the story, like laid out on the different pages and what the pages are going to look like. So I'm working with, she's an illustrator, so I'm working with her now to illustrate everything. And so we're hoping to have it published by September, by the start
Oh,
of the next
okay. All
school
right.
year.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's a crazy and exciting process, and I didn't think that I would ever be doing this, but here we are,
No,
right?
no, no, that's good. No, no, no. It's that just like you said, you didn't think you would have a business and
Exactly.
you're gonna be an author.
I am learning just to go through life with open hands,
Yes,
right? Just,
yes,
okay,
yes.
whatever. See you next.
So, what season of life and business are you currently in?
Oh yeah. I am I guess I don't know that we're technically empty nesters yet, but we have two college-age students that are home now over the summer. One still he commutes, so he's been living at home. So that's our stage of life, like kind of figuring they're still home, but not really home, and how do you parent adults that,
Hmm.
so we're at that kind of stage. We're at that stage of life also where we're figuring out what to do with how to parent adults, but also what to do with our parents. And,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
there's a lot going on still at this season. So that's personally. And then for my business, I kind of feel like it's funny. I wake up and I'm like, I still feel like it's a baby business, like I still just got started. But this year has been so pivotal for me that I feel like my business has gone from infanthood to like late toddlerhood, early pre-K maybe. I don't want to be any bolder to say it's any further or any bigger than that. We definitely have not hit the college years in that. But it's still, especially because I'm still shifting who I'm working with and stuff, and still just kind of trying to figure out where God wants me in this and what everything is. I was working with a friend of mine, um, a dear friend of mine. I think back in August we were talking, and I was like, God called me to this, so why is this so hard? Like, shouldn't he be showing up and helping me? And she was like, are you trying to control it, or are you letting God and control it? And I was like, bite your tongue. I'm an Enneagram 1. We love control. Like, no. So she really encouraged me just to kind of go open hands and just not try to force doors opening, but just let the doors come to me. And ever since I've done that, it has really changed this business for me. So to answer what stage of business I'm in right now, I don't know that I can answer that because I'm still just like, I don't know, just take me
Right.
where I'm
Just
going.
yeah, yeah, just order my steps and he will show you
Yes.
one at a time and it's like, okay, once I'm done, what's next? And then it's
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And I kind of feel like I'm not even like, what's done? It's just like, okay, here, 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 here. And I'm like, oh, now I need to learn to prioritize things. And like, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So this is the Becoming the Proverbs 30 Woman
Yeah.
podcast. So what quality of the Proverbs 30 Woman would you say you most identify with?
Right now in this stage of life, it's diligence because that's what I have to learn for this, right? It's learning that being hardworking and resourceful and, in the business. I've always kind of done it in the house, right? But this looks so different. So definitely diligence is where I am being stretched and learning and growing and very much focusing my time on right now.
All right. So what final encouragement would you give moms who feel disconnected with their things? Is there any final word you would like to give?
Oh, yeah. It's not over. Like that connection can come back so much easier than you think. I had a mom tell me in a call one time, like, I don't think my kid I think I broke my trust with my kid. Am I ever going to get that back? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it comes down to love. It just comes back to the love, right? Unconditional love and just a few tweaks in what you're doing and learning about yourself. And you can definitely get that back.
Wow. Well, Becky, I have learned so much, honestly,
Oh,
from this
gee.
interview. Where can people find you?
If you want to come hang out and chat with me, I am on Instagram at Becky Funk Coaching, BeckyFunk. And come shoot me a DM, say hi, tell me where you found me. I love to get to know people and hear their stories. Everybody has a story, and I always love to hear everybody's story. And if you want to know more about business side of me, you can find that on Instagram as well. But I have a website, thebeckyfunk.com. You can go there. I've got a ton of free resources. There's one called How to Know If It's Anxiety or Just Typical Teen Stuff. And that goes into a whole bunch of co-regulation that we talked about today. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, my offers are there. And if I can plug real quick, I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm doing a workshop next Wednesday. So
Okay.
June 3rd. So if it's coming, it's probably going to come out after that.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed the workshop. It's called 3 Ways to Get Your Teen to Talk More. I can get you the replay. You've got connections
Oh, there you
now.
go. All right. All right. Okay. Okay.
So I can
Yeah.
get you hooked up for that for
So,
sure.
yeah, and I'll have all this in the description of the show. So
Awesome.
that way people
Awesome.
can connect with Becky. Thank you so much, Becky. It was an honor and pleasure to have you on the show. I have learned so much and I am definitely connecting with you because this is so relatable
Oh,
just for my kids, just to get that head start before, because
yeah.
before I know it, like you said, before you know it, you're gonna get into the
There it
teenage years. It's
is.
gonna hit you before you
Yeah.
know it. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, but thank you. So thanks. That's another episode of Becoming the Proverbs 30 Woman podcast. If you like content like this, please like, share, subscribe. And I think there's a new one now that calls Hype. Hype it up so that way it can push the algorithm to just get more content like this. So that's another episode of Becoming the Proverbs 31 Woman. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye, everyone.